Ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and fellow TikTok enjoyers and dark dimension enthusiasts, welcome back to episode number, let me check my notes here, 36 of the Dark Dimension TikTok series, where I question reality and society and the world, because it's crazy that we're living in this world, the dark dimensional world, where a lot of people don't believe we are in the dark dimension. But I am here to prove otherwise. I am here to prove that despite people not knowing or believing falsely that we are in a light dimension or a neutral dimension, we are in fact in a dark dimension. So basically, I'm here to prove myself right and show the truth to people, and trying to figure out what to name this episode because I'm really at a loss. But I'm sure as the episode goes on, we'll figure it out. But anyway, we're here once again, episode 36. I'm starting at a decent time today, where it's about 10:30 at night. That might not seem decent to some people, but to me, that's really good for when we normally do these. Now, I'm going to say what I always say in all of these. I've seen, or not I've seen, I haven't seen these in so long because we're over a month behind at this point that I'm basically giving up on ever getting caught up unless I get unemployed and decide to do these en masse. But there was a point in time, about a month ago, ironically enough, where I didn't send as many TikToks to myself. Since then, I've sent so many because I've been more on TikTok for some reason that the algorithm is now probably sending me so many more of these, and I'm sending them to myself because I think they're applicable, that we are just never going to get caught up. I've fully come to terms with this, and it's honestly not too much of a bad thing, but the stuff we're going to see is a little outdated, but it's still going to be good and nice and funny. But anyway, while reacting to it, I'm probably going to say 95% of things I've already said because that's the nature of what's going on in current day. A lot of the stuff is just the same bad stuff repeating, and I'm going to hammer it into everyone's head so they understand that we are living in the dark dimension. Because only through knowing the truth can we maybe find a way out. And even then, that maybe is slowly creeping towards a no. But anyway, without further ado, to kind of get started on this shit, let's get started. But before we get started, I have some food with me. As always, I like to eat when watching these videos. And again, it's been so long. It's been over a month. It's been about a month and 6 days since we've done this, because these videos are from September 1st, and it's October 6th at the time of this recording. Soon to be October 7th, because we're going to go into the next day doing this shit. That I really don't remember most of these. So as with you, as for me, it will be almost a first-time experience. So pretty much our first time together. How special. Anyway, let's check this video out. So this is a long one. I remember we left off on a long one because I was tired as fuck and I was dying and I was sleeping, or I was falling asleep on myself. But today that should not be the case because number one, I got semi-decent sleep. I got about 5 hours, which for me is semi-decent. And because we're starting so early. So I have some hot sausage here with me, so I might be crying on the microphone because I can't handle spice. I have some pork, and I have some chipotle, and I have some Paris baguette. So we're going to be a fat fuck tonight, and we're going to get very depressed watching these videos. So hopefully we can get through a lot and be less than a month behind, but no promises anymore. But anyway, let's see what's going on. Dark Dimension. Here we go. Ooh!
$100,000 is the amount of money that Americans in 2023 are living paycheck to paycheck on.
So already I'm gonna pause it here. I was about to start eating my food, but I just gotta pause it here. So this is where I inserting myself, because I'm the creator of these videos and this series is about reality as much as it is about me. This is where I live in New York. I make about 38K a year after taxes realistically, which I don't know why they include a pre-tax one, but after taxes realistically I actually make about 30K. Now I have some side hustles going on because at this point it's not really side hustles, it's needed hustles, but I have some stuff going on bring me money here and there. But in general, I'm about a little above 30K and I'm really not making it. I'm not making it, but I'm barely making it because I'm still here and I still have internet, thankfully for my family. So this is where I don't understand how people with 100K are living paycheck to paycheck. This is where I do feel for everyone. I feel like, aside from the ultra wealthy billionaires who are causing this, and I say this most of the time, but I swear to God, I feel like it's true. I am not a conspiracy theorist, but a lot of things I thought were conspiracy theories are ending out being true. But anyway, this is where, aside from the billionaires who are causing this fucking issue, I feel bad for everyone for the most part. Even though your wage goes up, it still hurts to pay this much money, man. It should not be the case where, oh, you're rich, it shouldn't matter. No, it should be uniform for everyone that this is not right. Because if we make it right for some people, that's unfair. And it's a slippery slope. But anyway, I feel like personally, a little bit of my bad side is going to come out here now. I feel like personally, the people who are making 100K, who are living paycheck to paycheck, either A, have a shit ton of loans or crippling debt, which is understandable because healthcare, mortgage, and student loans. So those three things kind of make sense. But if they don't have that, or if that thing for them isn't too crazy, because 100K to me, sadly enough, back in the day, I used to think 100K, man, you were set for life. Now it's like, damn, you kind of just need that to be okay. Or not okay, good off. You're good off with 100K, kind of. It depends where you live, but me being a New Yorker, I'm gonna, adjust things to New York, which is what I know. So this is where even in New York, right, unless you're living way beyond your means, which I think is the main issue, I don't understand why you're living with 100K paycheck to paycheck unless you're being stupid and, again, living way above your means. This is where I think people need to take a peg down. Now, granted, maybe their ego's inflated because they're making 100K, but again, this is where I think people with 100K, maybe not too easily, but pretty easily can live even in New York City as long as they don't be stupid. Rent can cost you like what? 4K. Okay, actually, wait. Okay, hold on. Wait, let's do some calculations here because now that I'm doing it in my head, it doesn't sound right. So let's say rent is about 4,000 a month. You live in Manhattan, you make 100K. You're like, okay, I don't want to commute to work because fuck the subway. It's filthy, it's dirty, it's flooding, as it was last week. Noah's fucking Ark happened last week. So if your rent is 4,000, 4,000 times 12 is about 48K, and that's assuming you don't pay for utilities and anything. So already from rent alone in Manhattan, we're seeing almost half your paycheck gone. If you have a car, which again, if you live in Manhattan, you really shouldn't, but if you're a human being, you really should. So if you have a car, that probably ends out totaling to, and I don't have a car, so I wouldn't know, I'm assuming here, probably next to 12K a year. So already we're at 60 from just the car and the rent alone, not even food or anything. But at that point, I guess I'll add in another 10K for food a year. And then we have 70K and then student. Okay, honestly, never mind. I can see how someone might have this. Okay, long story short, rent is too expensive, and that's the major thing aside from debt. I didn't even include that in here. Okay, so maybe it's feasible why a person living in Manhattan could be living paycheck to paycheck. Oh, Jesus Christ, that was loud. I apologize for that. Anyway, yeah, okay, I'm kind of changing my perspective now that I'm doing the math. Holy shit.
Zero kids. And this is all because as recently as the 1980s, the median salary in the United States was $21,000. And
What is he going to adjust that for inflation? Let's see.
Be brought in by a single earner. And at that same time, a 4-year degree would set you back 10 grand. And at that same time, the median price of a home in the United States was only $47,000. And that means
I really want to know how that accounts for inflation, though. Because back in the day, 20K is probably the equivalent of 100K today, if not more.
boomers had the option to work summers to pay for college as they were going. They could.
This is where, unequivocally, I think just based in reality and fact, even though it might have been obviously worth more back then than it is today, 20K today is not 20K back then. 20K back then is like 100K or more today. But even with that fact, things were just undoubtedly cheaper back then, hands down.
Graduate without any debt, and then they could just work 5 to 6 months of their real job as an adult to come up with the 20% down payment required to buy a home. 10 grand is all they needed to do that. But we flash forward 40 years, and thanks to inflation and appreciation, those homes are now worth $500,000.
Wow.
And it's almost impossible for younger generations to buy them. Because in 2023, the median annual income for a single earner is $70,000.
I have less than half of that.
We've essentially doubled wages. But in that same time, a 4-year college degree has multiplied by 10x. You're looking at spending a full 100 grand on a 4-year college degree for out-of-state tuition.
And again, I'm going to repeat a lot of what I've repeated in previous episodes, as is the theme of this channel. This is where I just don't understand how people are okay with what's happening. This is where people do have a choice, and again, I'm not advocating for a certain choice, even though I think that's what we're leading to. But people have a choice where they can sort of stop these things through the legal process if it's not rigged enough already. Where, like, people know this is happening and they're just okay with it. We are leading or going towards just a nation in life of just straight up debt. You are going to be in debt forever. The thing you are going to be then arguing is, oh, am I going to be in debt or not? No. You're going to be arguing, how much debt am I in? Am I going to be in massive debt for all of my life, or not that bad debt for most of my life? That's what we're kind of leading to, and that's scary, because as I'm going to kind of spoil a future TikTok here. As from a video I saw that we'll see in the future, human beings didn't used to work the way they work now. Human beings got used to this after being forced, and after a couple of generations, it just stuck. So for all the time before that, we didn't work nearly as hard as we used to, and weren't as productive, obviously. But once we shifted, after a generation or two, we just got used to it, even though it was not efficient and it was not good. So take that as you will. And also, I forgot to mention in the beginning, but a lot of things we're going to hear, we don't know if they're true. So take it with a grain of salt, because not everything you hear online is true, as we've proven in our previous videos. But I'm assuming most of what this guy says is true. See, it's scary, because now, me personally, I'm getting into the problem of when they're saying stuff that I really resonate with, or that sounds like I really agree with, it makes me think it must be false, because that can't be right. Like, it just shouldn't be right, because if it is right, it's evil and we really are in the darker dimension. Maybe that might be the title. Let me write this down. The darker dimension. Apparently it's in Doctor Who. Interesting. Anyway.
On top of that, with homes being $500,000 to
Amazing.
start, to get a degree and a home today, you'd have to live in your parents' basement rent-free and work your ass off for 3 straight years just to pay off your college debt.
Now remember, this is with the average, salary of 70K, which, they say average. I would much prefer median. I don't know if he said median or average, actually. I don't want to be wrong here, but I know a lot of people who are not making anywhere near 70K. Granted, I'm a loser, so.
Have a down payment for your home, all without any dependents or a partner, and that's if you didn't put a single penny towards things like food, gas, insurance, healthcare, your car payment, or your stupid fur babies that you think are your actual children.
Oh yes, I love you too, but if times get hard, I know you're gonna make a delicious, delicious soup.
He got scared, the little weenie dog. So this is where, he's joking about the fur baby thing, but it's not really that much of a joke, because ironically enough, and I believe I've said this in a previous video too, a lot of people of my generation, Gen Z, millennials and stuff, we can't even afford houses, we can't afford kids. Dogs and pets are the best we can do. And even then, they're really expensive.
And all of this has happened because of inflation, which has reduced the value of our dollars over 95% in the last 100 years.
That's fucking insane. You know what else is insane? I also learned in a future video that I'm going to spoil here, is that when the federal minimum wage was first enacted, you know what it was? And this should kind of put things in perspective, right? Now, I don't know if minimum wage was as shit as it was back then when it was literally first introduced, but I'm assuming it wasn't. Because over time, as we've seen in the dark dimension, things just get shittier. I'm assuming it wasn't as bad as it came out. It was 25 cents. So that means back in the day, with 25 cents being the minimum wage federally, you could probably get some decent stuff with 25 cents. A fucking quarter.
Because back then, this stack of $100,000 would have actually had purchasing power of $1.8 million today.
Holy fucking shit. That's 18 times the amount. So my comparison of 20K to 100K, and me thinking it was more, was not like off. The 20K would be like almost 300.
Which means by saving your money in today's environment, you're actually losing it. And the reason this has happened is because our government prints money to subsidize the pharmaceutical industrial complex, the military industrial complex, and...
I was about to say, if he only mentions pharmaceuticals, he's very biased, but he's mentioning all of them, so... Another good check mark for this guy being truthful.
Other big corporate organizations and entities,
Subsidies.
They get subsidized by taxpayer dollars that are printed into existence, and the value of the money that's being held and saved by the American people just gets inflated away.
Yep.
And those giant corporations use the money to pay their CEOs big bonuses.
And when the employees ask for a livable wage, the CEOs call them selfish and not wanting to work.
And figure out ways how to deliver less value and charge even more money. And
which is exactly what they did with COVID with the leaked calls that got out. Assuming they're real, again, assuming most things we're seeing are real to actually continue the show. These leaked calls came out, and the people were like, okay, we don't have to charge more, but let's figure out how much more we can charge as much as possible during COVID. Like, if that's not disgusting, it's fucking crazy. This is where human beings cause a lot of problems just for each other. Our biggest enemy is literally ourselves. The rich, like I often say, are basically divorced from reality. They're divorced from regular society. They're different and not in good ways. And this is where they don't see their fellow man as a man. They see them as a thing to exploit and just take money from. If you were dying on the corner on fire, they wouldn't piss on you unless it would make them money to put you out of, from the fire.
And this has been going on for a few decades, and it's completely carved out the middle class in the West. And the Western world is at its breaking point. Right now in the United States, gas...
This is where I've been hearing not only the US is on a breaking point, which I don't believe. I believe things are going to be bad and get a lot worse for many, many years. I'd give it around maybe like 10 or 20 if something serious happens. Probably around that time. But I've also been hearing the same thing about China. Back in the day, I don't know if I showed it in the TikTok episodes, but I've been hearing like, oh, in a couple months, China's economy is going to collapse, China's going to explode, someone's going to assassinate Xi Jinping because he's doing such a bad job. He's still fucking here, ladies and gentlemen. No one assassinated him. So, these wild claims, we're at the breaking point, things are going to explode soon. I feel like there's always people saying that, and those are the conspiracy theorists. Now, I fear the day when they're no longer conspiracy theorists, because that means they're right, and that means society is collapsing. But until that happens, I'm glad they're conspiracy theorists, and I want them to continue to be so.
On average is around $4 a gallon. Breakfast for four at McDonald's, which used to be an affordable option, costs as much as a weekly budget for a week's worth of food for a typical American home.
And this is where they're not wrong. Fuck, I have a lot of meat in my mouth. Shit. Pause. So, this is where we saw videos before, and I actually calculated it. And similar to the rent thing that just happened with the guy making 100K, the make-believe guy will named Gary. Similar to Gary making 100K, we also saw that like only a certain number of groceries led up to $100 a week, which is insane. So this is where, let me just rewind the video to get my train of thought back. Yeah, so a weekly budget with the food for McDonald's, right? This is where I always bring this up, because I experienced this for my day-to-day. I'm so poor, right? Again, I don't make a lot. I make around 30K a year after everything. That I have to skip lunch, and my only weekly pleasure, aside from the Chipotle I just got, and the Paris baguette thing, the cake I said before, that was actually a gift, so I didn't actually buy that. Just to prove my innocence here. But my biggest like thing every week is I get to buy the $1 fries at McDonald's, which, I have to spend at least $1. At this point, there's almost nothing on the menu that's still $1. The cheapest thing is cookies that I found, which is $1.50, and by cookies I mean one cookie. So that's my weekly gift, and I've seen McDonald's go up in price. Again, I'll always say the story. When I was in college suffering and crying, I would go to McDonald's at the end of every Friday, at the end of every week, to reward myself, get $5 20-piece nugs. Now 20-piece nugs are like almost $9. They've almost doubled. Like, I know it's Manhattan, I know things are price gouged, but like, come on. In 3 years, it's gonna almost double? And this is why you own McDonald's stock, which is what I do.
But things are even crazier than what we see on the surface. Because even though things cost more today, you get way less for your money. And here is an example. This Hot Wheel costs $1.25. If you go buy one right now, you'll see similar prices.
So just the price of toys in general have gotten.
We actually went to the store. That's crazy.
For this car, right there. Do you remember when you got like a big toy for like $10? Look at this.
But in the 80s, that same car only cost 94 cents. And this price difference represents roughly a 25% increase in price over 40 years. And you might not think that that's too bad, but there's something going on that you're not aware of. The materials going into today's Hot Wheels cars are not even comparable to what they used to be made out of. The 80s Hot Wheels cars are made out of die-cast metal. Today's use a little bit of metal and mostly plastic. This is much higher quality. It's built to last. It feels heavier. It's more enjoyable of an experience to play with if you're into that sort of thing. And this is
not that there's anything wrong with that. Me personally, I absolutely hated Hot Wheels as a kid. I wanted fucking video games. And whenever people didn't know what to get me, they would be like, oh, he's a boy, let's get him Hot Wheels. Which, you know, I'm not blaming them for. At least they decided to get me something. But, you know, they fell back on the gender stereotype of, oh, he must like Hot Wheels, he's a boy. And I fucking hated them. But this is where I think this has to do with, over time, planned obsolescence has really just permeated almost everything. I have taken media. This is no surprise to anyone who's watched the series. I have a media degree. As useless as it is in the job market, it's opened up a lot of my eyes to the reality of things. I would say that's kind of where the dark dimension ideas started in my mind, because the media really showed how much the government, or people in general, can just manipulate you, and how they do in the media. And again, I went all the way back and I researched from World War II onward, or I think, was it World War II? Yeah, it was World War II. I don't remember too much of it happening in World War I, but in World War II is when it really kicked off the media manipulation. And then from World War II on, they've made leaps and bounds and strides in how well they do it. World War II was just them starting, and they were having massive success. Now, it's like insane what they do, and we don't even realize. But anyway, this is where planned obsolescence comes in. They could make the thing for cheaper, but why would they? They figured out psychologically and, you know, economically that we are going to buy a new product if this one can't be repaired. We don't know how to repair it even though we have the internet. And that's because they either hide things, or they know people are too lazy, or they make it only serviceable by a hired technician that they own, at least with the McDonald's ice cream machines. But this is where planned obsolescence might have a thing to do with this. Now, obviously not in the case of Hot Wheels, but more broadly speaking, I think.
Is not. This is going to break much sooner than this will. Now, you can still buy these, the fully die-cast metal Hot Wheels cars at the store, but if you want to buy them like they used to be made, that car is going to cost you $2.97, which is an increase of 215% in just 40 years.
I really hope he's accounting for inflation.
Wages have not kept up with that. And in 2023, with the middle class at its breaking point, corporations are pushing harder to increase prices while driving down the value that they're actually delivering.
And they are. It's insane.
For the money they're asking you to give them for their product. This is called shrinkflation, and that's being layered on top of actual inflation caused by economic policies by our government. Governments all over the world, in fact, are printing money like it's their only pleasure in life. And this is why your money isn't going as far as it used to, which is why
fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy because this is mostly true, so I believe a lot of this video, to kind of give it a review at the end here, was probably really a lot true. But like, bruh, what the fuck are people supposed to do, man? People are so evil. What are poor people supposed to do against rich people? It's so fucked up. But anyway, in the essence of time, I can talk about this video way more, but we're already 23 minutes in, and I want to do more than one video every 20 minutes, so let's go next. Pretty good video, though.
Gen Zer in their first internship can't
Oh, I love this one. I actually saved this one on my personal account, and I watch it every so often. It's so fucking funny.
fathom working
And by funny, I mean sad.
for the rest of their life.
Neither can I. When I realized what work is and how much I hate it, and how sick I am because I don't want to find a new job because I feel like any job I find is going to be the same, it's like, what the fuck is the point? We're working for nothing. There's going to be no payout because Social Security, as it's looking now, is going to become insolvent, which means there's going to be no fucking money left for us. Excuse me. So we're getting money taken out that we will never get the benefit of, that is only benefiting the people who are rich anyway, for the most part, the old people, who had it easy, relatively. And we're working for next to nothing. We can't afford anything even while working, so what the fuck? Like, this is fucked up.
The original creator turned his stitches off for some reason, even though he asked a question, but I think we need to talk about this because I am a Gen Zer who got her first corporate in-office adult 9-to-5 job this year.
And she's very cute. I just wanted to point that out. She's a very good-looking young lady.
And I was actually really excited about it because it was a marketing position in a healthcare company, so I thought it was going to be really great.
And you know what's sad about this too? I'm in a very toxic work environment, but I'm used to it. I sort of don't mind going to work because I've adopted the mentality of I just don't care at a certain point, even though I'm still stressed out and I can't hold that mentality all the time. I've sort of pseudo-adopted the mentality of I don't care, everything's fucked anyway, let me just go until I get fired or I quit, whichever happens first, which who knows when that's gonna happen. But anyway, I'm sort of just done. I've given up in a way mentally halfway, and that's made it somewhat easier. But I used to think when I got a job, right? When I used to apply and get jobs and, go to them, I've had about, I would say, 3 jobs before this. Every time I applied and I got the job, I was scared, sure, but I was excited. I was like, wow, I'm finally going to be making money. I can meet people. Hopefully the coworkers are cool. I can form relationships, be social, because loneliness is an epidemic now. And I was very happy for these aspects to where, like, yeah, sure, I had to work. I didn't like that. But I was hoping the work wouldn't be ass, excuse me. And that, I can make some money and have a decent time. I expected, and I continue to expect every time I got hired, maybe things could be better. I had hope. Now, more and more, seeing the world as I age and seeing how bad it's getting, I have less and less hope, which is like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And most of where you go, unless you get lucky, I feel like is going to be like this for the majority of people. And as much as people don't want to believe it, they are a part of the majority and they're closer to average than they think, me included.
And I get that the company itself ended up being like horribly toxic,
Which is
but I
same
also
as
made the
mine.
decision within only 4 months of working there that if I had to do this like corporate drone thing for the rest of my life, because I did the math, you couldn't retire in this economy. I just like would rather clock out eternally. Like they were.
And listen, I don't want to worry anyone, but I've gone through that thought many, many times and still do.
People in their 40s at the company making the same amount of money as me, like still in the
That is
same
so
struggling to
depressing.
get by position, and I was like, is this is it? This is life? Because I would rather just like tap out right now. And I tried to keep pushing through with blind optimism, but it was like so soul crushing that 9 months in I just had to wake up and be like, hey, is this the life you want to keep living? And the answer was like, no, I don't want to do this. So I had to leave for my own health reasons, ironically. And I've sadly been happier doing odd jobs here and there, struggling to pay bills and just living life and having fun.
See, I'm nearing that space. I'm not like her. I think she's built different. I can't just job hob like that, at least not yet, unless I guess maybe one day I'll be forced to, who knows. But that's basically the reality of like, oh, you don't like the job so much, you need to like either quit, take a break, find a new one, and then just repeat the cycle unless you get lucky and can find a good one. Or just stick it out and eat shit. But not a lot of people can eat shit for that long.
And everyone keeps asking, like, what's your plan? What are you going to do? I don't know what the plan is, but I know if I have to go back to that corporate in office 9 to 5, like, I won't be alive a year from that day.
That's
so say whatever you
insane.
want
It's
about
true,
Gen Z,
though.
but we're just finally putting our foot down about this
God.
corporate lifestyle, where you waste most of your life sitting in an office doing little to nothing.
And that is so true. The statistic that I believe is very true is most office workers only spend about 2 to 3 hours being actually productive. The rest of the time they spend doing nothing or trying to look productive. So this is where I fully believe that. And the sad part is, let me just rewind you here to get my thought back.
Sitting in an office doing little to nothing. I would rather
Wait, fuck, let me rewind it a little bit more.
about Gen Z, but we're just finally putting our foot down about this corporate lifestyle, where you
Okay.
waste most of your life sitting in an office doing little to nothing.
Yeah, offices basically suck. I don't know what else I was going to say, but they basically suck. Fuck offices. Or I guess like the main thing is just like we're working in an office, but we're not getting anything for it. That's the biggest like magnum opus of just what this video means. It's like, or I think the major issue is, yeah, a lot of people have endured a lot of shit for a long time, especially our parents. They always like to complain, oh, well, we worked hard, this, and that. Yes, I don't doubt that you worked hard, but you got something for it. Us working hard, very little of us will actually see a benefit. Those that are lucky that are in decent positions will see a real benefit. If the people who are making 100K aren't seeing a fucking benefit, how the fuck are we going to? And we, I mean, the people making like next to nothing.
I would rather just get my work done on my time and then get to go live my
People
life.
want to
Gen
work.
Z, to their core, takes the motto, work to live, do not live to work, very
Exactly.
seriously. And
Yes.
if corporations don't start understanding that, like, it's just going to keep getting worse for everybody.
And this is where I don't think the corporations care, but they actually might. And I'll say why for both sides. So number one, the corporations won't care because at the end of the day, we are in the worst position than them. They can wait us out if they want to. At the end of the day, we're the ones who have to eat. They can eat forever. So even if we all strike, eventually there would be people to cross the picket line because they have to work, they have to eat, they have families, right? This is where not everyone can protest like that because they either aren't built like that or they're in bad situations. So this is where the company definitely has a position of strength to where, you know, even if we put our foot down, we're like, no, we're not going to do this. Enough people will show up that will. And unfortunately, those are the people that will take almost anything up their ass so the company can get away with almost anything and the cycle continues. Now, the other thing of why this might actually work is even though there will always be people who are willing to take the job, it might be such an effect to where they lose enough money, even though, again, I always go back to this example. Instead of making 10 billion, they make 9 billion. I wouldn't put it past these greedy fuckheads to be like, oh my god, we made 1 less billion this year alone, this quarter. No, we need to come to a deal. We need to make more money. Oh my god, give them something. Give them the 30K they want more. So at that point, maybe the rich people are so hell-bent on maximizing profits, they might just talk to us because they're losing a tiny fraction of what they could have made. So who knows? By the way, this was a pretty good video. She's very cute. Let's go next.
As of yesterday, Texas became the 5th state to detect the most infectious COVID variant ever, called BA.2.86.
Whoa.
The variant has been found in Ohio, Virginia, Michigan, and New York. The people in charge of disease in America are predicting daily COVID hospitalizations could reach 9,700 this month. The good news is that doctors on the ground are saying this version of the illness is the most mild they've seen in COVID patients during the whole pandemic.
Okay, so I really like this guy. I believe we've seen this guy before, and if we haven't, I've seen him before. But this guy just gives it to us straight. He's very cool. But this is where I was starting to laugh because let me just preface this with, you know, I don't like to laugh at people's tragedy, even though I kind of do, but I don't feel good about it after when I actually think. But this is where there's like a new variant of COVID like every couple months, right? I think New Yorkers at the very least, and the country as a whole for the most part, is just pretty much done with COVID. We could go back to having COVID like the most infectious one that we used to have, and the most deadly. I don't think things will shut down again like they did because people are just sick of this shit. So even though I hear this new COVID thing's going around, you know, New York is different from the rest of the country, sure. But again, I feel like the rest of the country is kind of following suit here, where New York, this new COVID variant came out, and you gotta remember, this is a month ago. Again, this is September 1st, or a month and 6 days. This is where, even though this variant came out, no one changed anything. No one wore masks. No one, like, social distance. New Yorkers did not give a flying shit, and it was the most hilarious thing. Because these people really don't give a fuck, yo. New Yorkers, as bad as we are, we're built fucking different, man. And it's fucking hilarious. But yeah, of course it's in New York, by the way. That was one other thing I wanted to point out. Of course it would be in New York. But aside from that, no one gives a fuck about COVID anymore. There could be like 10 more variants coming out. Unless we're dropping bodies, you know, like Noah's Ark happened last week. Which not many people died, but I think some people died. Which is sad. But unless we're dropping bodies like crazy, like it's a fucking bubonic plague again, I don't think people are gonna really give a shit. And if the government does, people still won't because people are against the government anyway. So, very nice video from Marcus here. I like Marcus. Thank you, Marcus. Let's go next. Hey! Okay, we got a fun video here. Okay, next summer. Ooh! Wait, what do you mean next summer? What? Oh! Now, this is, I put this in to kind of be funny. You know, people might have thought it was a little break TikTok, because I like to add in little breaks here from the depressing shit. But no, I fooled you. This was depressing too. So, this is the sad part where, again, I think I sent myself a group of videos in the future about this. This could be like its own little episode, but we'll see if we ever get to it. But, yeah, this loneliness thing is no fucking joke, man. Especially for men. This is the sad part of men have a lot of privilege over women in society in many different ways, but we also have a good amount of negatives too. Not taking away anything from women because they're certainly preyed upon and stuff, but men deal with certain stuff that women won't ever know, and one of them, or not won't ever know, but will know to a very much less extent. One of them is loneliness, and look at this. Look at this guy's, like, description here. He'll be 20 in October, which, ironically enough, we're in October now. But yeah, no, like, like young men are being lonely at such an early young age now, again, because of society and technology, because of culture and stuff. It's really fucking sad, and it's really dangerous too. Loneliness, similar to sleep, are two of the most, things you don't want to fuck up. If you fuck up sleep, that has so many implications you don't even realize. It's insane. Sleep is one of the most important things we need. And then loneliness or sociability is another one where, like, it will prey on you, it will eat you alive, and it will alter your life in ways you won't even realize, like psychologically and physically, believe it or not. So yeah, this is really sad. This is the reality, and bro, it's happening at age 20. Like, what the fuck? Like, holy shit. And it's sad because the numbers going up. This is where we're going to use statistics and we're going to assume they're true. I've heard the statistics where in the past it wasn't this bad, and of course, the time we're living at, it's getting the worst it's ever been. So it's insane. Anyway, very nice video, very sad. It shows a reality a lot of us men have to deal with, and it breaks my heart, man. As a person who, feels very lonely, even though I have some people around me, the worst part is to have people around you and still feel lonely. Excuse me. Like, it gets really bad and the thoughts don't help. The mind is a blade pointed inwards. But anyway, very nice video. Let's go next. Oh, it's Robert Reich. Yo, Robert Reich had enough, dude. This is the sad part, and I've mentioned this before, because again, I'm gonna repeat 95% of the shit. Robert Reich looks really old, man. Like, I'm sad that, like, he's so old, because I want him to last longer. So I don't feel like 100% he's, like, on our side, but I feel like it's very close. Like, it's very close to where, like, I feel like he is really fighting for us. Hopefully he's not a billionaire in disguise just trying to, like, calm us down so we keep following the system. But yeah, so for those of you who are blind and like to just listen to my videos as podcasts or something, I will read the caption here. I refuse to tolerate a system that lets the 500 richest people add 852 billion to their wealth in the past 6 months alone, but doesn't raise the $7.25 federal minimum wage for over a decade. This is crazy, and just to spoil the surprise here again for the future, I heard that now the government is in talks of finally upping the minimum wage again. And there's two arguments being made from the Democrats and Republicans, and I forgot which one's which, honestly, because I don't care about politics. But one side wants minimum to, I think, be $12. The other side wants it to be $17.50, I believe. So, very vast disparities, but this is where that would be a great thing for the rest of the country. And this is where the argument always becomes like, oh, but that's going to drive up inflation. People are just going to raise their prices. So at that point, what the fuck is the fix? Is the fix keeping prices like locked? Should the government get involved and break away laissez-faire, even though they already subsidize things, so they kind of do that already? Who knows? Should we just, do nothing? It seems like any solution has like a thing to be brought up, a point to be brought up that will just invalidate it, and it's not a real solution. Whereas I think the real solution is a multi-step process of, number one, raising money, and number two, price locking some things. Like the fact that these people could just charge whatever the fuck they want. And again, I go back to the insulin example that I always use, where if 100 people need it, 80 people can afford it, they change the price to only 20 people can afford it, but the company is still making as much money, even though they raise the price and less people are getting it. They don't care that those 80 people are now dying, because they're still meeting their profit margins, so it's fine. This is where the rich people can support their own system they're making, and the rest of us are just going to be washed away in the flood. So it's really fucked up. But yeah, $17.50, not bad. If it gets to that, $12, not bad also, considering it's $7.25, but still not enough. These numbers are not enough, and again, I'm going by New York standards, but man, Robert Reich is like so right with this shit. And this is the thing that really bugs me with human beings, especially my job personally. My job is rich as fuck. My job easily makes over $100 million a year. Now, when I asked for a raise of about 25 cents, they told me, nope, you're making what you're making, you're good, you're fine. I literally told them I can't afford food, I have to skip lunch, I'm struggling financially, and these people are, again, making so much money, they could literally, like, not even notice if they gave me a substantial raise to their revenue. Probably to even all of us, they wouldn't notice it. But they just don't care because they're greedy, because they just want to see the number ever increasing. And that's the thing that fucks with me. It's like, either these people don't understand people are struggling, or they do and they just don't care. And if they don't understand people are struggling, they're stupid. And, you know, the fact that they're stupid and they're making this money bothers me. But if they're not stupid and they do understand people are struggling and you can't live off 7.25 federally minimum wage an hour, and they understand that and they're still doing it, that means they're evil. So either way, they're fucked up. And this shit's fucked and I hate this. But I love Robert Reich. Thank you, Robert Reich. Let's go next.
Each time when I come here, I am abused.
And on the topic of work, this is literally how I feel. And you know what? Aside from physical abuse, which I don't get, thankfully, and I don't think people could really do, or they would do at my job, they mentally abuse me so bad. And the sad part is, and I'll go a little bit into the Chris Allen lore here. This is where, in my job, everyone in the office has no issue with me. Everyone in the office who actually works with me loves me. But my boss, who's terrible, who doesn't know how to be a good boss, who everyone has issues with, abuses me mentally to the point where, like, I literally hate this shit and it makes me question my own existence and my self-worth. Because I feel like I'm succumbing to the machine of capitalism. I feel like if I'm not working, I feel bad I'm not producing at least wealth just to survive, but that I actually have no value in reality as a human being or as a living thing. And it's really sad that I'm gone to this point, and part of me is like, oh no, don't think this, you have value, but then I just think of, like, you know, when you're surrounded by these things, it's really hard to shake that feeling of just like, damn, I'm just really not worth anything because I am making as much as these people. But yeah, like, it's so sad. It's so sad. Now I feel like I'm succumbing to the capitalist machine and my job is just beating me because, or my boss is just beating me mentally because, like, they're just mean people. And the sad part is, it's like they're mean because probably someone's mean to them. It's a whole cycle, you know. I don't fully blame them. I blame society, but you can't fix the problem by blaming society. You have to go after someone. It's the same thing with the government. We can't just blame the government. We gotta blame the people who are actually doing these changes. So it's very hard. And again, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not a revolutionary or anything, but again, that's where I think we're headed. So, pretty nice video here, but I'll play it one more time just so people understand this is me at work.
Each time when I come here, I am abused.
I am abused. So this is where, again, I really question my job because I do some mundane thing that no one else wants to do, right? And I'm underpaid for it. I'm underpaid doing a job no one else wants to do that's boring as fuck, and that's pretty much my only job, or it's supposed to be. And then they're wondering, like, oh, Chris, why are you unhappy? Oh, Chris, why are you not being more productive? Well, I wonder why. You're paying me nothing. I'm doing something that I fucking hate that no one wants to do. And you're asking why I don't go quicker? I wonder fucking why. Like, it's almost like I'm a human fucking being. I'm not a robot. Which they're probably going to replace me with anyway because AI's going crazy. So, anyway. Yeah, this video was pretty funny. This was here to be funny, and I kind of made it into a whole point about myself. So, I apologize for that, but it's true. Oh, Jesus, that's not that. Okay, so number one, I just want to put out, this guy looks really handsome. Like, this is a handsome ass guy, and especially because his tattoos, like, his tattoos and his physique, man, this guy looks sick. But anyway, I put this here as another joke, and I'm gonna relate it to myself because it honestly is a joke what I do. But this is not inaccurate, at least to me. I don't know how other people can, like, function or, like, have so much time and stuff. I don't know how they get so much sleep and aren't bothered by losing most of their day, right? This is where, I shit you not, I was literally like this as a kid. I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to, like, stay up later when I'm an adult, because as a kid I couldn't stay up that late. I was too tired because I actually went outside and I played all day. But now as an adult, I stay up till like 3-4 a.m. every day and get 3 hours of sleep. And this reaction is so accurate. I'm in my bed, I'm like, fuck man, I did it again. Every day I say I won't, but I do. And it's sad, but it's true. But yeah, this is funny, but it is true. Anyway, let's go next. Also, wait, before we go next, look at this comment. Wanting to be alone, but not wanting to be lonely speaks loudest when it's quiet and dark at 3 a.m. Oh, isn't that true? The worst thoughts come in the pitch black silence of the night. Anyway, let's go next.
Timothy!
Oh!
Yeah, boss. What's
We've
up?
seen this guy
I got
before,
an
too.
idea. What if, instead of paying for our customers' health care,
we don't?
We didn't do that.
I guessed that and I got it right.
What? I call it a deductible. Our customers keep paying for their own health care until they reach a certain amount, and then we start paying. But they're already paying a monthly premium. That's right.
Okay, I'm gonna wait till the end to interrupt this again, but I just gotta say, this video speaks so much facts, it's insane.
So, what are they getting for their premiums? They
Nothing.
get to pay their deductible. Then, once the deductible is met, we start paying. Yeah. For a while. What does that mean? This is the best part. The deductible resets every year on January 1st. Why? Because it's the thing.
That's how they make their money.
Okay. So a deductible is what you pay for healthcare every year before the health insurance you pay for starts paying for your healthcare. Yeah, it's pretty good, huh? Well, at least we'll be paying for 100% of our customers' healthcare once they reach their deductible, right?
Oh.
Right?
That's some good lemonade. Yeah, this is insane. So, I could say a lot about this for like a whole entire day, but I'll try and keep it relatively brief. This is where health insurance to me, once I learned about it, right? I don't consider myself the brightest tool in the shed. But when I heard health insurance, this is one of the moments. There's a couple moments in my life where I'm thinking like, how do people allow this? One of them is insider trading. Another one is, student loans, medical expenses, this and that, right? Mortgages. Excuse me. How are these things allowed by the people? How are people not rioting the fact that this exists and is allowed? This is where health insurance was probably one of the biggest ones. When I had to get health insurance on my own, and then I learned about what a deductible is and what a copay is and all this shit, the deductible is the biggest slap in the face ever. Now, to be fair, and to be not so fair, health insurance with the deductible still does benefit some people. But the problem is the people that it benefits are in such a low minority that the majority of people are getting no benefit from it. Logically speaking, that's what follows, obviously. But this is where health insurances too are just so shitty, where they will fight you tooth and nail for everything. Anecdotally, personally, I have pretty bad health insurance. I got like a shitty one for about a year that I don't have to pay for, thankfully, but it's still shitty. It's not the free poor people's one. The poor people's one that's free is actually pretty decent. You don't pay for anything, but you have to have it by literally being poor, which what the government considers poor and what's actually poor are two different things. But I don't have that one. I have like the step above that one. And this is where my yearly visit was supposed to be free. They charged me for it. I tried to find information showing them that it said, hey, it's supposed to be free. They disagreed with me. They said, hey, no, it's not. On the website, it has a fucking booklet detailing the cost from 2021, so that's outdated. On the login they gave me, it says I'm supposed to pay nothing, so that's obviously wrong from what they're saying. And I've asked them for booklets on paper to show me the cost for this year, not 2021 on the site. And I've asked for that about 3 times, and they've never sent me anything. So insurance is gonna fucking grab your cock and drag you the fuck around, even if you have to pay, right? Even if you do like, excuse me. Even if you do get benefit from it, which the people who get benefit from it are the ones who have like big ass surgeries, big ass health problems that are going to cost a lot. So to basically sum it up like this, a deductible for most people is just going to harm them because you're paying to have health insurance. You're paying to pay, essentially. Now, this is where deductibles have a limit. Usually it's around $3,000. If you hit that $3,000 limit, then the insurance starts paying for whatever you do, but only partly. So we'll say 50%. So most people, if you're healthy, which, this is America, we're not being too healthy in the future and right now, and it's going down. But if you're relatively healthy, you're just going to go to the doctor once a year for a checkup and you'll be fine, hopefully. That won't cost you much. So you're essentially paying the full price of that. And you're never going to reach the deductible. So what you would have paid anyway is what you're paying with health insurance, but you're also paying the health insurance to have it. So you're literally getting scammed unless you're going to be in a very big accident or need like a lot of medical help. At that point, you're easily going to reach the deductible, which It's unfortunate. But then after that, they'll pay for half of it, so it will save you money at that point. But a deductible is so stupid because most people aren't going to reach it, and so you're paying to pay them more money. It's so fucking dumb. I don't understand it, and it's terrible. Which is why I invest in insurance companies, health insurance companies. So that's cool. But anyway, yeah, pretty good video. This guy always puts out funny ass shit, and it's fucking hilarious. I love the camera zooms he does in. Amazing. Let's go next.
If you want to commit a crime, just call yourself a business. And
We're back to the angry guy, Pearl Mania. This guy gets so upset, he just starts yelling, man. I love this guy. This guy's like me on a bad day.
then call your victims employees, and you can do whatever the fuck you want.
And as we saw in the other video, when I go to work, I get abused. I am a victim.
At the most, you're going to have to pay a fine. They might go...
And if it's just a fine, if the only punishment for a crime is a fine, then it's only a punishment for the poor people, not for the rich.
Don't do it again, but then you can just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this story reads to me.
It's like a fucking subscription. It's like, all right, guys, we're just going to pay like the monthly $1 million in fees because we're breaking laws, but we're just going to keep breaking them because it's going to, we're going to make $100 million off breaking them and then pay $1 million a month because we broke them. It's like, are you serious?
The Department of Labor just released that they recovered $314,000 in back wages.
That's not bad. Honestly, it depends how long it is. If that's over like 20 years, that means that person really wasn't making jack shit. But let's see.
From a nursing agency in Mississippi.
Oh.
See, Prime Care Nursing has two offices. One's in Greenville, Mississippi, and one is in Jackson, Mississippi. And what they do is they place nurses at hospitals and doctors' offices and nursing homes, etc. Right? And Prime Care Nursing, they were only paying their employees for 40 hours of work, but their employees were working up to 84 hours in a week.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so, ironically enough, I have some experience in this because in the law firm I work at, there's actually an employment attorney. So this is where I'm going to let the video play out and I'm going to say it at the end.
And then Prime Care was refusing to pay them their full wage.
Disgusting.
Prime Care demanded they work these hours, but refused to actually pay it out.
Illegal.
So finally the Department of Labor got involved.
Finally.
And so now 91 nurses are being repaid $314,000.
Now, I'm going to stop it here, even though I said I'll stop it at the end. I really hope that's per nurse. Because if that's 91 nurses that are splitting the money, the 314,000, 314,000 divided by 91, that's only 3,450 per nurse. There's no way it's that small. So it literally has to be 300K, you know, per nurse. I hope. 340K per nurse. If that's the case, then that's great. And the best part is, from what I know from employment law, not only do they have to pay you that, they have to pay you double your back wages, and then I think they have to pay the fine too. Now, I don't know if the fine goes to the employee, but I believe the thing is doubled. Because if you break the law on and it's overtime too. If it's overtime, that's probably going to be higher. But who knows?
That works out to over $3,000 per nurse.
Oh my God, no way. No way. So it is split among the 91 nurses? So over 20 years, they've been working overtime, and they've only gotten $3,000 per nurse? There's no way that's true. There's no fucking way that's true. Hold on. Let me see. Divided by 91. Yeah, it's $3,500. Bro, if you've been working for how long, and you've been working 84 hours but only been getting paid for 40, the math has to be wrong here. See, now I'm questioning this video. I'm questioning maybe Promania didn't understand it right, or maybe they got the numbers wrong, but this does not sound accurate. If you've been working for maybe a couple weeks, that's what you'd be owed in, like, back wages. Not over years.
Have been stolen by this company, Prime Care Nursing, and their CEO, Emery Oxford, right? Is this guy going to jail?
No.
No. Is he going to personally face anything else? No.
No.
Because it's an LLC.
Oh.
It's a company. Oh, no, the company just did it on its own.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't headed by anyone. This is where an LLC is a great thing, but it's a thing that's very abused. An LLC basically acts as an entity. So if you're suing someone, let's just say I own a business that sucks your dick, right? I go out, I suck your dick, I bite your dick by accident, you sue me. I'm the one who's losing everything. I could lose all of my assets that I personally own, my house, my dog, my cat, my car, as if I had all these things. I could lose all those, right? In you know, in the suing case, because I bit your cock. This is where if I have an LLC and I just have a company, the company acts as the entity. You're suing the company, even though I'm the one who did it and I own the company. You're suing the company, so you can't take my house, my cat, my dog, my car. You can only take whatever's in the company, which is probably a good amount of money, but at least it ends there. And that's why people have a lot of private savings and stuff, because if the company falls down, they're still fine because they have so much in their personal accounts. It's insane. Even though they have a bunch of stuff in stock options and in company profits, right, in company stock, this is where even if that all goes down, they have more than enough stashed away in their private shit.
And why did this company need money? Was it because COVID hit the nursing sector so badly? Well,
No.
I don't know, because Prime Care Nursing received $1 million in PPP loan forgiveness in 2020. So far,
The rich helping the rich.
Prime Care Nursing and Emory Oxford have gotten $1.3 million in money that they apparently don't need. That does not need to be used for wages, right?
Let me just maybe title this episode, Healthcare is Such a Scam. Even though I don't know how many more videos are going to be about healthcare or health insurance and stuff, but health insurance just annoys me to no end from that deductible, and how these people are literally like vampire sucking money villains. Like, they're almost as bad as the fucking business majors. It's insane.
$1.3 million. Nobody's going to jail.
Lovely.
But if you're in the state of Mississippi and you steal $1,001 worth of stuff from Walmart,
Jail.
you know what you'll get?
Jail.
You'll get a $10,000 fine and 5 years in jail. So $1,001 from Walmart, 5 years in jail. $314,000 from 91 nurses. Well, you're just Emory Oxford.
Insane. It's so insane.
And you're just the good people at Prime Care Nursing.
Bruh, fucking prime ass nursing is what it should be called. The fact that, like, I want to hope and I want to believe this stuff is fake. I really fucking do. Because this shit infuriates me that this exists. People know this exists. And we can't punish these people because the government is friends with them. Or the government just, like, takes the money and says, okay, cool, we forgive you. Like, are you serious? Like, bruh, it's so insane. But anyway, yeah, Promania, great point. Great video if it's actually true. Even though I questioned the wages a little bit. But I pretty much believe everything else. So, very nice. Let's go next.
The biggest news of the week translated for Gen Z. Mitch McConnell
And obviously, this is going to be outdated because it's the week of 9/4.
froze again. It is
Ah, yes, good old Mitch freezing again. I've sent myself so many videos of this in the future. Spoiler alert. But yep, he froze up again. He didn't get his Windows update, and he's constantly freezing.
still giving cognitive decline.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute.
The resident
Yeah,
physician
look, she even went because she's like, yeah, you guys expect this now from him. Because our Congress is filled with fucking dinosaurs.
at Congress cleared him to go back to work. I didn't know they had like a school nurse for Congress. I just wonder if he would have been cleared for work if he had to operate a forklift or
Hell fucking no, he wouldn't have. He wouldn't even be forklift certified, and he'd be getting no pussy without that.
during his day job. You can't really freeze when you do that. Maybe members of the Senate should be held to a higher standard than blue-collar workers, but
No way. I mean, they certainly get paid for it, but
I don't know. Do you ever feel like someone's watching you? Well,
all the time. And I don't even care anymore because they could watch me fucking do all the stupid shit I do all day. They're losing out, not me.
they are. This Labor Day, the NYPD is using drones to watch over large social gatherings. Doesn't that
Oh.
make you feel much safer? You want to enjoy your Labor Day? Celebrate the one day you have off from toiling away to pay for your existence?
Yes.
You better do it in a way that the NYPD approves of.
So this is where, I mean, obviously, I think this is taken a little... It's not taken out of context, but it's definitely set in a certain tone to kind of persuade you and manipulate it a little bit. I think the NYPD is well within their right to surveil us in public with these drones if we're organizing, right? Or whatever we're doing. In public, we don't have a right to privacy. The police don't, and neither do we. So this is where it's perfectly fine if they want to use the drone to watch us, but the issue comes in is when they abuse it and they do illegal ass shit like, oh, you know, we're just stopping you because you're obstructing justice or you're disturbing the peace, or, you know, they basically put a bullshit charge on you because they don't like you. And the drone just helps them kind of do that more. It helps them potentially abuse their power more if they're abusing it, which sadly enough, some are. But in terms of just what this is, it should be allowed, and I think people should be fearful with the reality of, yeah, it's going to get abused. But at its core, this is something that should be allowed. At that point, we have to look at the higher level issue of there's abusive people in there that are abusing their powers. But the actual act of, like, spying on me with a drone, you're not really spying on me if I'm in fucking public. You have every right to look at me. As I do you. This is where it should work both ways.
More updates on our dystopic nightmare. The FBI
Oh.
has DNA samples for 51.7 million people.
Definitely not me.
It's about 7% of the U.S. population. They asked
Damn.
Congress if they could nearly double their budget, $53 million additional dollars, so that they could expand the amount of DNA profiles that they process.
Yeah, and also not to pocket some of it either, I'm sure.
It's cool and not weird at all. Like, why are you guys so obsessed with us? Why does the FBI need
They want my coom.
our DNA? I would also like to know that. I don't know where they got it. Some have suggested they bought it from Ancestry.com. Some have said...
See, that's why I never want to do that shit, because you don't know what they're doing with your fucking spit or your semen or whatever. I fully expect they're either selling it to the government, or the government is backdooring their way in and just seizing it. This is where, like Edward Snowden showed, the government, like, has a lot of things they're not supposed to be doing with our data, and they're just straight up spying on us. Edward Snowden, sadly enough, he's, you know, villainized, he's demonized by some people and our government. He did a fucking service, and it's sad that he had to go down for that. Someone, I think, should have done it. You know, at one point or another, I think someone should do it, but it's sad that they have to be the one going down for it. But yeah, like, bruh, I fully expect our government to do whatever the fuck they want. And they can, and we won't even do anything about it.
they're getting the profiles from the Department of Homeland Security. I would like to imagine that they got it all from a sperm bank, that the FBI is splurging on splooge. Joe Biggs, a leader of the Proud Boys and organizer on January 6, got 17 years. Despite identifying as a Proud Boy, he was tried as an adult. There was a hurricane in Florida, Hurricane Idalia, I don't know how to say it, but it was bad. It's the strongest storm to have hit Florida's Big Bend, which is apparently the armpit of the Gulf of Mexico. It was a Category 3 hurricane with winds up to 125 miles per hour. The damage is...
You know what's crazy? That literally looked like New York last week.
not so good, but it turns out Ron DeSantis is working with Joe Biden to figure this thing out.
We're not going anywhere, the federal government. We're here to help the state as long as it takes.
Speaking of Florida beaches, Jimmy Buffett died. This was a dude who sang about getting drunk on a beach, and then he opened some restaurants about it. So hug a boomer. Since it's Labor Day, let's talk about the one-of-a-kind study done by the U.S. Treasury. They found that being in a union can increase workers' wages by 10 to 15%. As it turns out, your boss will not wake up one day and just give you a raise out of the goodness in their hearts.
Or even if you ask for it and deserve it, and by a raise, I mean 25 cents.
The biggest news of...
Crazy ass shit, bro. Crazy ass shit. It's almost like a union is good for workers, and the main reason why your workplace goes against it is because it's not beneficial to them. Even though, sadly enough, in the long run, if they pay you more, you're probably going to do better work and stay with the company. But they don't realize that they're all about the short term, and they don't think. So, it is what it is. Very nice video. Very nice girl. Let's go next.
Millions of American workers could soon be entitled to overtime pay.
No way.
New rule from the Department of Labor.
Wow.
How many more people? An estimated 3.6 million.
That's a
the
good
Biden
amount.
administration introduced this proposed new rule today that would require employers.
Now, I just want to put out, this is a proposed new rule, and again, this was a month ago, or over a month ago. I haven't heard anything about this since.
To pay overtime to salaried workers who are in executive, administrative, and professional roles, but make less than about $55,000 a year for a full-time employee. The current threshold to qualify for overtime pay for a salaried worker was actually increased to about $35,600 by former President Trump back in 2019.
And for anyone that doesn't live in bubble fucking nowhere, for anyone that actually lives near any sort of city or urban area, this is where that amount is next to nothing.
Prior to that, the threshold was about $23,700 to qualify for OTs.
And that's less than nothing.
So this would be a significant jump up. The rule,
Oh,
which
yeah.
still needs...
Well, this is significant. It is significant. But again, I'm taking it with New York standards. It's not that significant.
to go through a public comment period and wouldn't take effect for months, would have the biggest impact, according to the Labor Department, on retail, food, hospitality, manufacturing, and other industries where many managerial employees would now meet this new threshold. Now, under the Fair Labor Standards Act, almost all U.S. hourly workers are entitled to overtime pay after 40 hours a week.
And it should be less. Full-time is supposedly considered 35 hours or 30 hours. I get mixed up on it. I believe it's 35 though. But if you work 35 hours, you're considered full-time. So how come if I'm working 40, that's still within full-time, it's not over full-time? Like, are you serious?
Week at no less than...
And 40 is already too much, man. Unless you're giving us a lot more money, we have to commute, we have to travel, we have to get there, we have to travel back. Again, we make essentially nothing for our hard work. And it's like, bruh, what is this?
Time and a half their regular rate. But salaried workers who perform executive, administrative, or professional roles do not qualify for overtime unless they earn below a certain level.
See, this is where I never understood the difference, and this is kind of what happened with me with the deductibles and learning about health insurance, but with salaried and hourly. I was like, oh, if you're salaried, that's great, because no matter what you do, you're going to get that amount. Well, that's the issue. No matter what you do, you're going to get that amount, and you're expected to work more usually. This is where with hourly, everything you do matters, but you have to do a certain amount to make it actually matter. But, now that salary can get overtime, that's good.
Now, this rule is obviously going to get a lot of pushback from the business community. In fact, when former President Obama tried to increase this threshold, more than 20 states sued and successfully stopped the Labor Department from implementing the rule back in 2016.
Insane. Now, I really question which business owners did that, or which businesses did that. Was it the small mom and pop stores that would actually get affected by this? Maybe. Was it the billion-dollar companies that just don't want to pay their workers any livable wage that they wouldn't even notice if it was gone right from under their noses? Probably. Anyway, this was a nice video. Let's go next.
Inflation is down. The jobs market is strong. Credit card debt is the highest it's ever been. Unemployment ticked up in August. Hourly wages are up. Credit card delinquencies are up. Hiring is slowing down. Consumer spending is up. Mortgage rates are hitting 20-year highs. I know all these headlines about the economy are overwhelming. They're good. They're bad. They contradict each other. And sometimes they just straight up don't match with what you feel in your everyday life.
Yeah.
The reality is, in less than 3 weeks, the Federal Reserve will take all the actual data behind all those contradicting headlines and decide whether or not to raise interest rates on all of us again.
And I will spoil the surprise here because I don't think I sent it to myself in the future. I believe, from what I heard, they paused the rates. They said they're going to increase it again, but not now. So they're not lowering it until God knows when. But they're going to increase it once more, but they left it the same for now. So take that as decent. Again, the best thing to do would be to lower it all the way. But as of right now, it at least didn't get any more worse than it already is, even though things are already pretty bad.
So, do we have a hint at which way they're leaning? Yeah. And before I share it with you, I want to thank my TikTok subscribers for voting for this story as the bonus this week.
That's not
if
me,
you want to
but
vote too, the only way you can do that is to subscribe to my page. You can do that during my next live event. Or you can now just go to my profile and follow the steps.
Whoa.
Now back to that Federal Reserve hint. Last week, the Federal Reserve Chairman said this.
We have tightened policy significantly over the past year. Although inflation has moved down from its peak, a welcome development, it remains too high.
Yeah, a welcome development. Well, no, duh. Fucking 100 to 99. Yeah, it moved down. Yeah, we want that. But it's not anywhere near where we need it, you fucker.
We are prepared to raise rates further if appropriate and intend,
which they are,
and to hold policy at a restrictive level until we are confident that inflation is moving sustainably down toward our objective.
Which basically means they're going to keep it very at where it's at for a very long time. Probably a year.
You heard him. They are not afraid to raise interest rates again. In fact, the chairman has said he expects at least one more rate hike in 2023.
Crazy.
Now, there are only 3 Federal Reserve meetings left this year, so the rate hike may
Probably
not
going to
be
be in
this month.
October.
It may actually come in early November or in December, depending on what the market looks like.
Oh, never
and
mind.
that market is complicated. The numbers show overall inflation, or headline inflation, has been coming down steadily since last year. But food prices are still high. The jobs market is still really strong. Jobs are still being created.
And this is the part I don't understand. Like, I kind of understand it based on their logic, but I don't understand why this is the logic. And it's the same thing I said before of, like, increasing wages, right? If you increase wages, people say, oh, no, that's bad. Increasing wages is bad because it's going to increase inflation. People are just going to jack up prices, this, and that. So at that point, what? Can people never get a better wage because everything else is just going to end up bad? It's like, what the fuck is this?
Be it fewer jobs than before, but
the same thing happens with the job market here. It's like, oh, we're adding more jobs, which sounds good. You know, there's more jobs being put into the economy. But apparently to the Federal Reserve, that's bad. No, we want less jobs. We want less people working. We want more people unemployed. It's like, what the fuck? I understand that that's what's going to bring it down, but why does that have to be the thing to bring it down? It's like, what the hell is this?
But more people are joining the workforce. But also in August, unemployment ticked up to 3.8%.
So maybe it's the case that more people are just working different jobs, whereas, like, you know, like the same people are working different jobs, and not more people are coming into the job. It's just the same person is doing more than one job.
The Fed chair explained the reasons for America's complicated economic picture.
Oh, let's hear
stubbornly
this.
High inflation. And it's important to know, inflation is a global problem.
The effects of Russia's war against Ukraine have been...
Oh my god, it always goes back to Ukraine. What, are we going to send them another fucking 60 billion?
Primary driver of the changes in headline inflation.
And they're still probably going to lose from what I'm hearing?
Around the world since early 2022. Headline inflation is what households and businesses experience most directly, but food and energy prices are influenced by global factors that remain volatile.
That is true.
And can provide a misleading signal of where inflation is headed.
And where it's headed, according to the Federal Reserve, is down.
Of course they're going to say it's heading down. They don't want to seem like idiots and say, hey guys, what we're doing isn't working. And if we tighten it anymore, it's going to break. And by it, I mean the fucking American people.
The Fed chair fully expects inflation to get to the target rate of 2%, even if they have to keep raising interest rates into next year.
Insane.
And they'll do it even if it means the U.S. economy slows down and more people lose their jobs.
Amazing.
Getting inflation sustainably back down to 2% is a...
Yeah, sustainably. What does that even mean, sustainably? Yeah, you know, it's sustainable if, you know, millions of Americans just lose their job and become homeless. Because 60% of us have only $1,000 in savings.
Expected to require a period of below-trend economic growth, as well as some softening in labor market conditions.
The Federal Reserve will announce its interest rate decision on September 20th.
Which was to hold. But oh my god, dude, the Federal Reserve just controls so much. Like, it's actually crazy. Anyway, very nice video. Let's go next. Ho ho ho.
Good morning. Y'all want to hear something absolutely fucking asinine?
Yes.
So my job recently...
What, a deductible?
Moved me to second shift, 3 to 11.
Yes.
And it's actually been a good change. You know, I get to sleep in again, and I actually have the energy and motivation to do stuff during the day. Today, however, I was awoken from a dead sleep at exactly 6:51 a.m. by my boss's boss, asking me if I could come in and cover first shift because someone called out. Now keep in mind, first shift starts at 7 a.m.
It's 6:51, so I can already kind of tell where this is going. This is where I probably included this just to, like, you know, it's showing the dark dimension a little bit with how unreasonable bosses are, and this is where I used to think stories like this were kind of fake, and then I'm in the job I'm in now, and I'm like, okay, no, these could definitely be real. Granted, some of them are still probably fake, but they definitely can exist.
And also keep in mind, I have already pulled count 'em, 2 double shift overnights this week. That is
Insane.
3 o'clock in the afternoon until 7 a.m. the following morning. 2 days in a row because someone else has called out. I think I've earned myself a little bit of a reprieve to not do that the rest of the week.
He's basically sleeping as much as I sleep, which is not, you know, almost at all.
And I'm just like, well, first off, there's no possible way I'm going to be able to make it there in time. He doesn't let me finish this point and just says, well, can you please figure something out? We don't have anyone else. So I am stuck in my still half asleep delirium.
In his stupor.
Trying to explain to a man that probably makes more than double the money that I do.
Yeah, and half the work.
That unless he wants me to take a fucking DeLorean to work, there is no physical way possible that I'm going to be able to get out of bed, put my clothes on, brush my teeth, and then still make the 30-minute commute to work in under 8 minutes at this point.
That's hilarious.
Not only that, I have shit to do before my regular shift starts at 3. And then the absolute testicles on this man.
I love this guy.
To say, well, what if you just came in at 11? At that point, I just hung up on him and went back to sleep. And
that's fucking funny.
It got me thinking, you know, every time I make a video about how all jobs should be livable jobs.
Yeah, one job should be a livable job. You shouldn't need multiple, you should only need one.
I get motherfuckers in my comments talking about how there are people who aren't worth what they're paid. And it's taken me until now to realize that they are right. They're just talking about the wrong people.
Yeah. This is where I don't understand people who come to, like, the defense of, like, these really rich-ass people. It's like, I'm pretty sure they understand. And it's like white knighting. I'm pretty sure both people hopefully understand in their head, like, sucking their dick isn't gonna make them want to, like, help you. It's not gonna get you any good boy points with them. They're just gonna be doing the same shit, and you defending them, like, doesn't assist you in any way. If anything, it makes you look like an idiot because these people are the ones exploiting you and you're essentially spreading ass for further cock ramming. And it's like, are you serious? You're defending the cock that fucks your ass? Like what is this?
You want to find someone at your job who isn't worth what they're paid? Go higher up on the ladder.
Yeah.
You will find them in fucking abundance.
Now this is where I will go back to my company here, you know, back to the anecdotal evidence here. Even though my boss is very mean to me, and she's not a good boss at all, I will tell you this, she deserves probably more pay than whatever she's getting because she has to handle everything. So I don't blame her for kind of being like a stick in the mud, because everyone hates her because that's just generally what happens when you're a boss. Most of the time people are just going to dislike you because you have to tell them what they should be doing anyway, which you have your own boss too, so it's like you have to answer someone, you need to make them happy, and to make them happy you need to make other people upset. But they're not going to get upset at your boss for telling you to do this. They're going to get upset at you because they think you want to do this. So I definitely understand the sentiment. But at the end of the day, my boss is probably paid way, way more than I am by extreme amounts. However, she has to do so much, I honestly believe, and can applaud her for the amount she works, that she probably should be paid more, whatever it is. But who knows? Because my firm is rich and they do pay some people very well.
The next time someone tells you that your boss is in the position they are because they're smarter than you, or
which is true sometimes,
because they worked hard, I want you to slap them upside the head.
Damn. That's pretty fun. Anyway, nice video. I don't agree with the end there. And I just saw his name. He's the socialist Mac Miller, which is, you know, definitely biased towards something. But, yeah. No, this is where I do think there are people in positions because they have earned it. It doesn't, you know, it's not like it doesn't exist. There are positions where you need to actually be good at your job to do them. And especially with my boss. Again, my boss, as much as I hate her, she does a lot of fucking work. So I don't blame her for being, again, a little bit of an ass because she has to deal with so much. But it doesn't justify it. Or no, it doesn't make me forgive it, but it does give context a little bit. But I definitely don't agree with the end of what this guy said, like slapped him upside the head. Again, there are jobs where you actually need to be good at it. Now, granted, I think maybe they get paid a little bit too much, but who knows. Anyway, nice video from the bald head here. Let's go next.
I mean, is it just me, or is this week giving off some major apocalyptic vibes?
So obviously, you know, they were saying that, and I forgot what specifically happened that week. I think it was really hot or something. I don't remember. But they obviously did not wait, and by that I mean Dylan Page here. Dylan did not wait only a couple weeks to see the fucking flooding of New York City.
I mean, just listen to this shit. Last night, Hong Kong was hit with some biblical...
Bruh. Again, this looks like New York.
...level flooding. In fact, it was...
Okay, that's a little worse.
...the most amount of rain...
And he says biblical. That's what I thought it was in New York. This is way, well, not way worse, but this is worse.
They've had in the last 139 years.
That looks so funny that that person's just getting whisked down the river.
Streets turned into rivers, subway stations turned into swimming pools.
The fact that the train is still running through that is insane. New York trains could not do that. And they didn't do that, which is why I was stuck for 3 hours.
And if all red was bad, authorities had to issue a black warning. I didn't even know that existed. And just after making it through catastrophic wildfires, a number of European countries are now being hit with severe flooding.
That's Athens. That's one of my places, because I'm Greek. Wow.
Killing at least 14 people so far. Spain's Canary Islands were hit with a staggering 10 earthquakes in
what the fuck?
Under 24 hours.
What?
US and the UK are twinning right now for all the bloody wrong reasons. Because somehow in the same week both have been forced to launch massive manhunts after a convicted murderer literally crab walked his way out of a US prison. And in
oh my god.
the UK, a terror suspect and former British soldier put on a chef's outfit.
Jesus Lord, a former soldier? So this guy has motherfucking training.
Strapped himself to the bottom of a truck and literally got driven to freedom. And both of them are still on the loose. Some end of days.
I'll tell you this, the Pennsylvania guy in the US got caught. But it took a while.
Looking shit was caught on camera in Turkey after a meteor lit up the sky green as it soared to Earth. Cats have bloody declared war on humans because that's exactly what it looks like. A knife. Definitely a UK cat. It wouldn't be
can't be US, they'd have a gun.
A wild week unless North Korea was involved. Because
of course, let me guess, they're testing another nuke.
They've just claimed to have launched a new Korean-style tactical nuclear attack.
Of fucking course.
Submarine, saying that it heralds the beginning of a new chapter for its navy. And I mean, the worst part about all of this is that I feel like we're just getting used to it, which is...
And I was about to say that too.
Terrible.
Bruh, everything is just so bad so often. Again, it's becoming normalized. And I hope the same thing doesn't happen with debt, but it probably will. This is sad. Jesus Christ, what's going on with the world? Again, there's probably a lot more bad stuff happening that we don't even know about. And before I saw this video, I didn't know about all this shit either. Because I'm just focused on the here and now of how am I going to pay for food. So it's like, again, if this isn't proof that there's so much happening in the dark dimension, I don't know what is. Because as much bad stuff is reported on, there's probably 2 times more bad stuff that's happening that we just don't know. It's fucking crazy. Let's go next.
I don't think that a lot of older generations realize how the younger generations don't get to spend our 20s figuring out what we want to do with our lives anymore. Because back in the day, you used to spend your 20s working like a burnout job, an easy, low-stress job that paid you enough to get by.
Which doesn't exist anymore.
And then you would spend that time figuring out what you want to do with your life, right? And then you would take that idea, you'd move forward into your 30s, you'd create a career, and you'd go after it. Your 20s today are figuring out what you need to do.
And a lot of this stuff won't even be enough.
To establish a base level of stability where you are earning enough income to no longer be living paycheck to paycheck.
Impossible.
To no longer...
We need to start stealing.
Be budgeting out your groceries to the cent every 2 weeks,
which is what
just to get by. And then the hope is that if we work hard enough in our 20s and you're lucky enough to not have misfortune befall you on a regular basis.
Which, as we just saw with the world, look what happened. Pretend you didn't have a lot of money. And pretend all those flooding things happened to you. And your, like, apartment or whatever gets fucked up, right? And everything gets destroyed and you have to buy new shit. At that point, you're just done. You're fucked.
Then you can spend your 30s figuring out what you want to do with your life. And that's why young people are so depressed nowadays, because that's all that we have. We are figuring out how to survive in this economy that we
can't even do it
because we don't have the privilege of figuring out what we want to do with our lives. We are doing what we need to do in order to just get by. That's why all of these young kids are on these apps trying to get the attention economy to work in their favor as much as possible. Because if you can just get that bag, then you actually have the freedom to do what you want to do. Like, there are tons of kids who want to be doctors, who want to be engineers, but they don't have that economic stability that afforded them the extra mental and emotional energy to just go to school for.
See, and that's a big thing that you need. You don't just need money, you need the mental and emotional energy. I couldn't have said it better myself.
For those careers. Like, we are the generation that simultaneously has the most STEM degrees per capita and the most people working 2 jobs at the same time.
Insane.
That should tell you something. I don't think that a lot of older generations realize how the younger generations don't get to spend our 20s figuring out what we want to do with our lives.
No, I dropped the fork. Fuck, I was eating a cake. Fuck, I almost dropped the cake. Anyway. Oh, shit. Okay, that's fine. I didn't drop the cake, so we're good. Anyway. This is where everything he says is pretty much true. Except I would say he didn't say it bad enough. This is where, like I said, we need to do these things. We can't afford to figure out what we want to do. We need to just do something. Most of the time what we're doing is just simply not enough. It's crazy, but it's true. And I don't know how people are surviving doing this shit. Like, I don't understand. Like, you know, we need to start working. We need to get a good paying job. Most of us can't because you need 10 years experience for an entry-level job anyway. And then, you know, when you get the job, you're not even paid enough to live. So it's like, what the fuck are you gonna do? You're either deadlocked in this job or you have to go into debt, which again is becoming increasingly more and more prevalent. So it's like things are just on a downward slope down and there's no way out. Unless things at the top change, which they're not going to because the top is benefiting the top. So, more of the same bullshit. Great video. Very nice guy looking guy too. And look at the comments here. Look at how sad these are. Excuse me. Again, I want to believe that most of these are just fake. That they're just like complaining to just go along with the video. But I really don't believe they are. I'm 19 and I'm already in medical debt and living paycheck to paycheck. Gross. Excuse me. I'm 23 and I literally cannot fathom having to be alive for another 60 to 80 years. Like, I literally cannot fathom having to do this for that much longer. Well, that's the best part. You're only going to have to do it for about 50. Because that's when... Oh, no, wait, sorry. 55. Because that's when you could probably around retire. If they don't increase it even more. I feel like my life doesn't belong to me. It doesn't. It belongs to our corporate overlords that want to make money off of it. It's fucking insane. Most of these comments are so sad, and I believe they're real too. It's depressing.
Many of you saw my video yesterday of teachers being arrested at a Clark County School District board meeting in Nevada. But then I stumbled upon something very disturbing. Take a look at the badge this officer is wearing. Looks normal, doesn't it? Well,
yeah.
It's not. That's not a Clark County sheriff or police officer. That's a Clark County School District police officer. That's right.
Wait a minute. This ain't New York where we need our own police in the schools. Hold up.
Right. This school district...
Because that's literally what my school had. My school was so bad that we needed to have our own police force.
...has its own police force. It's a new trend throughout America to help increase safety of children.
Yeah. See, I can believe that because there's so many shootings. But I also think in very bad areas like mine, it was actually to, like, keep the students under fucking control, because some of these students were just gangbangers. Oh my god. This Paris baguette cake is so good. I really have to thank my coworker for getting this. I would have never bought this in the next 20 years. But she allowed me to eat this now. I'm so happy.
To protect them from outside threats that we have seen in the past. Problem is, this is what's happening in Clark County school districts.
Oh my god!
Pause the video right there to avoid violating community guidelines. But this officer aggressively slams that child to the ground.
I want you to tell the community why he hasn't been terminated or why he can't be terminated at the moment. Okay, due process.
Oh, look, another angry meeting in Clark County.
We're talking about the child that was taken down for recording on his phone. Let's talk about that.
Due process. I'm not going to be held for violating that. I'm not going to do that.
Due process is separate from your CBA Article 35.5.
And now here... So this is where, I mean, obviously I feel for the guy a little bit. You want to have due process to hear both sides out, which is the right of both sides. Every person should be able to defend themselves. Now, granted, I don't know how the fuck you're going to defend yourself from what that is from the video footage, but you should at least be allowed to say your piece and then be put away and fired. But, you know, at least let the due process go through. Let him, like, have a shot at explaining what the fuck he did. Probably going to make another big fool out of himself.
Here's what's even more concerning, and I must admit,
this guy has a really nice narrating voice, by the way.
I hope I'm reading this wrong. I may very well be reading this wrong.
Oh, God.
Because it is so...
So some of these that I send myself, by the way, I forgot to say this in the beginning, I actually see only the first, like, little section of it. And then I'm like, okay, I know what this is probably going to be about. Excuse me. It's probably going to be Dark Dimension-esque, so let me just send it to myself. So some of these, I shit you not, I just haven't seen at all. Some, you know, most of them I've seen, and I send it to myself, and I forget about them because it's been so long. But no, some of these, I believe this one is one of them, where I saw like 10 seconds of it or 20 seconds of it. I was like, okay, this has to do with a Dark Dimension topic. Let me send it to myself, and I haven't seen it. So this is the first time for real.
So shocking. It's going to infuriate everyone. But
Oh,
according
God.
to transparentnevada.com, take a look at the salaries of these police officers.
No
including
fucking
overtime
way.
and benefits, many of them making over $200,000 a year.
Bruh.
Meanwhile, those same officers are arresting teachers.
No wonder they're so eager to do their job. Look at the teacher. She's laughing. She's like, oh my God.
I want to take you inside where the meeting started at 5 o'clock and it has devolved into chaos.
And I like how the whole people are booing the police. Now, I'm going to say a lot about two topics, about the police and about teachers, but let's just go through it.
School districts creating police forces. And those districts informing their officers to arrest educators.
Insane.
Just want to raise.
Wow. And there it is. There it is. Oh, you want to raise? Evil. Evil. Put them in jail. Pay for them with our tax money. But no, the billionaires who are just making oodles and billions of profits every 3 months, they're fine. So, let's start with the police. This is where I honestly do feel for police. Now, you could say I'm biased because of the color of my skin, which is probably true. But, regardless, this is what I think. I think police objectively have it very hard because this is the case where a bunch of bad apples ruins the whole orchid. If there's just like, if you have an interaction with one bad cop, you're going to think all cops are evil. And the sad part is I think some of them are. Some of them definitely are dirty and stuff, but look at the nature of the job. This is a job where you're serving the public. The public, like I always say, is stupid, is dumb, is rude, is dangerous. They're literally like, just like, I don't know what to say, cretins. They're cretins. The public is so bad. And if you've worked in retail, you understand what I mean. How the majority of the public, the majority of people are just stupid, dumb, and mean. They're not good people. So, this is where, as a person, as a police officer, you have to protect and serve that. And most of the time, the way I imagine it, and this is the reason I never want to be a cop, is you're going out there and the people are already against you, you didn't do anything, and you're there to help them. Granted, with the way police system works now you need to meet a quota and stuff, so if anything, you're not really, serving them anymore. You're trying to basically prey on them in certain ways. But regardless, police have a very hard job because not only do they risk their life for not great pay, granted, the benefits are pretty good, and as we saw here, this was actually pretty good pay, if nothing else. But if you're risking your literal life, I feel like you should be compensated very well. And they're not compensated that well. And at the end of the day, you have people who are just going to give you an issue no matter what, because another, bad cop ruined the whole image. So I feel like cops, if you're a good cop, you're definitely going to have it hard, because you're going to be scrutinized by the people. They're not going to want to work with you. They're going to be against you. And when they're against you, they could do all these different things that are legal that are going to ruin your day. They're going to curse at you. They're going to do all these things that, again, you can't fuck with them on. And if you fuck with them, then everyone's going to start recording you and saying you're wrong no matter what, just because you're a cop. So in terms of the police, they do have it hard. But again, this is no excuse. And this is disgusting. Now, on to the teachers. And I've said this before, so I'll gloss over it a little bit. I think teachers are so massively, massively important. They're insanely important to the future of children, how people develop, how children develop specifically. And a good teacher, which more and more is in low supply because teachers aren't making any money, so who the fuck wants to teach? More and more there's not good teachers, and a good teacher can easily make or break a child, especially when their home life isn't that good, which again, more and more in America, it's not because of financial troubles, marital troubles, societal troubles, any sort of trouble, which nowadays there's a lot of. A teacher can help mold a young person into a great adult, or they could break them. It honestly depends. But teachers have such a good influence. If they're good, it's sad to see that disappearing. It really is. But very nice video. We're still on September 1st, so... Oh, good lord. Let's keep going.
Walmart is likely going to start disappearing in areas around you. If you didn't see the
Well, guess what? I'm in New York. There's no Walmarts here anyway.
headline, they are going to start pay cuts for new employees coming in.
Oh.
This is going to cause an
Pay cuts, even though, let me guess, they had record profits.
absolute uproar, and this may be the beginning of the end for the Walmart empire.
Wow.
And if you want to see what greedflation looks like, let me show you.
See, again, I'm gonna question, like, the end of an empire, whatever the fuck, right? Again, we heard that for the USA, we heard that for China, we're hearing that for the Russia war with Ukraine. I feel like a lot of these things that say, like, oh, this gigantic thing is coming to an end, it really is probably false.
Let me show you some numbers. Everybody knows that the Walton family owns Walmart. On
Yes.
paper, they're estimated to be worth about $240 billion, and there are some estimates
Insane.
up to $1 trillion. Yes, with the
Jesus Christ.
Meanwhile, the average salary for an employee ranges anywhere from $11.95 to $16. You get it, it's low. And here's the
Yeah, low, more like unlivable.
real kicker for all of this. You may be thinking, oh, maybe Walmart's just having a problem with inflation or getting goods in or the economy.
Show us the Carfax.
We can look at Walmart financials and look at their total revenue, and we see that here back in 2021 they're making $152 billion. Here in 2023, $161 billion.
They're making more.
And they're not making money by selling more goods. They're doing it by cutting employees and cutting salaries. And you may think, oh, Walmart employees will stand up for themselves, but Walmart is one of the biggest employers that does not have a union.
Of course.
So none of those executives that work for Walmart are, we'll say smooth-brained. They know exactly what they're doing. And when you bring in new staff that are underpaid, you're going to get employees that simply do not care. Not that the bar was set extremely high in the first place. So at an estimated $1 trillion, do you think this is the Walton family making the decision to finally let the Walmart empire finally collapse? Keep your eye out on local Walmarts because Walmart is likely going to...
So yeah, from what I'm seeing from the comments, apparently Walmarts are getting better. So this is where I fully believe these companies have so many minds thinking about this, or are paying the government off so hard, whatever the case may be, that everything they do, unless it's a massive, massive blunder with the public, where the public just cancels them, which is even then really hard because Walmart specifically is cemented so deep in Americans' like culture because it's cheap. It really is cheap, at least relatively. This is where it's almost impossible for them to get canceled. And the things they're doing, even though it might look bad to us, I think, and from what I see in the comments, Walmarts are getting better. Yeah, sure, they're losing more employees. I don't think they need as many employees, and that's sad because they should have them because it gives jobs to the community, which then they can then use to re-stimulate the economy and even go to your own store that they work at and buy stuff because Walmart has everything. But it's like, bruh, this is fucking crazy. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And I really feel like these people are very smart. They know what they're doing. Just because they're cutting employees doesn't mean it's the end times. If anything, it means that's how they're going to keep costs down, so consumers keep going to them because they have stuff that are cheap as shit, but still decent. So it's crazy. But yeah, Walmart employees are getting a pay cut because everything either needs to go to the shareholders or to the owner's pocket. Very sad, but very true. Let's go next.
61 people in Georgia have been hit with RICO charges
Whoa.
from Republican Attorney General Chris Carr.
I don't know what
this
RICO
is a
is.
seemingly retaliatory move against people who have been working to stop Cop City,
Whoa.
the planned $90 million development in Atlanta on forested land to teach cops to better engage in urban situations.
So this sounds good on paper, and you know the name Cop City definitely has some bad connotations with it. But looking at what it is, I would have no issue with it initially if I didn't know how cops were now trained. And there was this story back in the day, before I think I started doing these Dark Dimension TikToks, where the story was this old cop, like this very retired, or not retired, this very veteran cop went to how the new cops are trained. She went to the academy again to see, like, you know, what are they teaching them? And the things that they were teaching them were so bad, so, like, non-de-escalatory, and, like, all these things to be aggressive and just basically have things go not smoothly with the confrontation. She was like, they're being set up for failure. Like, the senior officer said they're being set up for failure. What'd she get for saying that? She got fired, of course. You can't speak out against it. But Cop City itself doesn't sound bad. But when you see that there's rotten apples in the bunch, maybe we shouldn't be cultivating those rotten apples.
Said another way, it's a massive training facility that's going to plow down a forest to teach cops how to shoot people better in cities. Nice. There has been a massive years-long pushback against this project, and locals are not for it and have been very vocal about that.
Yeah, and the same thing in New York, how locals don't want their rent going up because they already can't afford it. Sure, we can protest all we want, peacefully, of course. We can voice our concerns all we want, but at the end of the day, it's not going to matter because, like we saw previously, hopefully, we saw that even in Congress, right? They don't do the will of the people, they do the will of whoever pays them the most.
The Atlanta City Council and Chris Carr himself have a lot riding on the success of Cop City.
I like how it's called Cop City.
They haven't really been quiet about just ignoring the will of the people. There have been years of sessions of people going to the city council saying, we don't want this. There have been loud, bombastic protests. Cops murdered one of the protesters against Cop City. They claimed that he was shooting at them, and later evidence came out that that was just a straight-up lie. The people are not being heard by their local officials, and so there have been violent pushback. That is what happens when elected officials do not heed the will of their people. But there has also been far more non-violent pushback. And to try to quell all this and instill fear in people, the state is hitting their own citizens with charges instead of listening to them. People have been charged with domestic terrorism and now RICO charges. There have been charges of intimidation of an officer after people tried to spread the word about the murder. All when the Attorney General at the helm has a lot to benefit from this project politically and is making moves for governor. When the state hit a bunch of people with
there's always an ulterior fucking motive every time.
Ridiculous charges, bail funds were set up to help them out. And then the state hit those bail funds with charges, claiming money laundering. It is no secret that I am not a fan of cops, nor am I a fan of the state that empowers cops to do their cops thing. But I hope you understand just how egregious of an abuse of power this has been for years.
Jesus Lord.
It has been years of people saying we don't want this, and years of being...
Yeah, but why would the government listen to the people? And that's the trend going forward. Let me put that as a potential title. The government doesn't listen to its people. I hope I didn't use that as a title before.
Being ignored. People have died due to actions endorsed by the state during attempts to prevent the state from building another facility to enhance the capability of the
people killing them.
The state to kill citizens.
Crazy. And again, this is where it's sad because obviously this guy probably has a history with cops that wasn't good. And I honestly do feel that a lot of cops are there for good reasons and they're not corrupt or anything. But God, they just get such a bad flack. It's so sad. Like,
if you were in the Atlanta area, there is going to be a vote on the funding for Cop City this coming November. And
yeah, it's not going to change anything.
I recommend you read up on it and vote with your heart. Activists in the area have already made it clear that these RICO charges will not deter them from their efforts.
Good for them.
That is because they are fucking rad. Because this is so far and beyond just ACAB. This is just the state doing evil shit.
And what other way can you put it?
It is a misappropriation of power, and it is the exact reason that I often call myself an anarchist.
Yeah, anarchy! And the sad part is there's a bad connotation with their anarchy. There's a bad association with it. Anarchy is just going against, like, the current thing, I believe. Now, I think it also has the definition of in a violent way. If it is, then maybe I'm not an anarchist, at least yet. But you can definitely see why this guy's winning. I think anarchy is cool. Especially when it's deserved and needed, with the way things currently are.
Social hierarchies are rampant in modern society, and it is on us to tear them the fuck down.
It is, and unfortunately we're not going to win because it's on us and most of us don't do shit.
I'm going to go eat tacos now.
Aw.
61.
Okay, amazing video, dude. I love this guy. This guy really tells the news as it is with this weird ass crowbar. I love that. Next.
Sir, you've had an accident.
Okay. Here's where, unfortunately, we've been going for about an hour 44, so nearly 2. I would love to do more, but I think we're going to end it here just because I'm getting so sleepy. This is draining my soul a little bit. So we're going to kind of leave it here. How far did we get? Let's see. Okay, we got about a week forward. So right now, we're less than a month behind. But next week, we're going to be a month and a week. So again, making no real progress, but I feel like we did something. So anyway, that's going to be this episode of Dark Dimension TikToks. I hope everyone enjoyed. This is a big advertisement for my Twitch channel, Twitch TV/Tecnics channel. As long as I don't have a kick yet, but who knows. And you can always watch my YouTube, which you probably are already, at youtube.com/Tecnics. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed. And that's going to be it for me. And if you ever want to send anything to me to have it featured on the Dark Dimension TikTok, please send it to my main account, Tecnics. I will add you. You can send me stuff, and if it's good enough, I'll send it here. Anyway, that's it. I hope everyone enjoyed.